Hi guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, today we're gonna discuss about the Habenaria medusa and some basic care tips that will help you not to kill it. I'm not gonna do a full tutorial because as you can see, mine did not want to bloom this year. Causes unknown, might be my environment or the fact that she was not mature yet, who knows, we'll see next year. But I can share with you some stuff that I've observed along the way that will hopefully help you out if you have this orchid or you're planning to buy it. So as you can see, my Habenaria medusa looks like it's dying right now. Well, fear not, it is not dying. This type of orchid does take a dormancy. Now during this dormancy, it will lose all of its leaves, the stem, everything. So everything on top of the media will actually go, it will die. But what will be left are the corms. Now this orchid is pretty much like a tulip. Her way of growth is annual, let's call it like that. She produces bulbs or corms, however you want to call them. And usually in the springtime, from every new corm, there will sprout a brand new plant which will grow during summertime and autumn, and it will bloom sometime in autumn, theoretically. And in wintertime, theoretically, it should pretty much go to bed and die off. Now, being that it's January, smack in the middle of winter, my Habenaria is preparing to go dormant, as you can see. I haven't watered her ever since I noticed that the foliage is really starting to die back. She really does not need any water at this point because the corm is actually absorbing everything that the leaves have. And it's storing practically energy, so there's no need to water. But right now I need to prepare the corm for its dormancy actually. So I need to unpot this orchid, and because it's in moss, I will need to water it to make the moss detach. But I will not cut the plant just yet. I will let the corm absorb whatever energy there is in this plant still. And also I'll make sure it stays dry, so I will not repot it per se. Now something to remember with Habenaria medusa. When I repotted it last year, the corm was kind of like this. It was a decent size, but it was not very big. However, during this year, it grew an enormous corm right here, and I kind of underestimated the space this orchid needed. So in articles, you will find that they suggest you to use a taller pot rather than wide. Now, I didn't really estimate how long of a pot I needed, and as you can see, my pot is kind of tall compared to its width. However, it was not enough. So what happened was my corm grew out of the pot. I was actually forced to cut the pot so that I can make some space for this corm to grow, because if I manage to kill this corm, it's going to be pretty tricky to regrow this plant. The old corms actually die off and the plant relies on the new corms. So those are my main focus. So when you pot up your Habenaria medusa, make sure that you indeed have a tall pot. If it's quite wide, that's pretty fine. This orchid could not be bothered with being tight in her pot or anything because she's a terrestrial orchid. She doesn't feel the need necessarily to attach to branches and stuff like that, so you can obviously use a bigger pot, but make sure it is indeed tall. And when I say tall, I really mean tall. I think next year I'll try to place this orchid in a super huge cymbidium type of pot, really, because I don't want to go through something like this. So this is the first thing you need to consider when you want to grow your Habenaria. Now what I'm going to do now is moisten up the sphagnum moss right here, and I'll actually cut the pot because I do not want to damage this corm, and we'll see if I have other corms or what's in this pot actually. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the medium is wet at this point, and as I was saying, I will actually cut the pot because I really don't want to disturb this corm or damage it. Okay, so how I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take a scissors and I'm actually gonna cut the pot on a side here. Now I'm gonna be cutting on the opposite part as well, just to make my life easier. Don't worry if you cut roots, but just make sure you don't cut any potential corms. And a transparent pot will come in handy, and I'm actually thinking I'm not going to use anything other than a plastic pot which will be transparent because these corms are very fuzzy. If you pot this plant into a ceramic pot, the corm might get attached to the ceramic pot and it's going to be hell and you're going to damage it. You really don't want that. Alrighty, so let's see what we have inside. Hopefully I did a good job. Okay, so things are looking okay. So here is the corm. It is really bigger than the one I had last year, which is encouraging news because it means this orchid really enjoyed something. So I'll show you, this is the old corm. I don't know if you can properly see it, but trust me when I tell you it's the old corm and it's not looking so hot. It's desiccating. That's normal. Old corms usually die off and new corms are produced, as you can see. I'm not sure if I have only one new corm or multiple new corms. I'm gonna do with one if that's the case. And now let's remove the moss gently. If there is moss very attached to this corm, don't bother to pull it off completely. Better cut it because, as I was saying, the corm is fuzzy and it's gonna really attach to stuff. Okay, I'm pretty much done with cleaning. I was not very thorough at all because it really doesn't matter. And I really don't want to damage this corm, but oh my goodness, you guys. So this was the old corm. It was plumper than this, obviously, but you can see the difference and how crooked this is. So you can see that this grew and then it kind of hit the bottom and went sideways. Oh well. But the size of this corm, I'm really proud of this. I must have done something right regarding growth, but something terribly wrong regarding blooming. So anyway, what I'm gonna do now is actually, I'm gonna place this in a pot without any type of media. I'm gonna put it in the pot just to keep it. I'm not gonna detach this plant from this corm because I want the corm to absorb nutrients and everything he wants from this plant. And when everything will be completely dry, this plant should absolutely come off from the corm. Alrighty, now this corm will be dormant for several weeks, some months, or 2 months. Really depends. But at some point, it will start to produce a new growth somewhere, either from here, either from here. I don't have experience yet, but I'm gonna monitor it and I'm gonna see where the new growth will actually start. And I'm not actually gonna pot it into anything. I might keep it under a bit of moss or anything, but I'm not gonna pot it. I'm just gonna keep it like this, dry in its dormancy, pretty comparable to catasetum orchids. I will not give it any type of low temperatures, refrigerators and stuff like that. It does not need it. The dormancy does not mean a cold winter rest. It is what it is. It's a dormancy, but it does not need very low temperatures. So at some point, this corm will actually start to produce a new growth from one of the ends. If you're not really sure how to pot it, you can pot it on one side, but I think it's better to wait and see where the new growth will start. I'm presuming it will start somewhere from here, and I will pot it just like this in a very tall pot. Because if this corm is this big right now, the next year's corm might be even bigger. So I'm thinking super tall pot for this one, really. Now a thing to keep in mind, when you see new growth starting, you can pot it up, but do not water the new growth. You will see it's a sort of a cylinder. Do not place water there because it might rot. Just water on the sides of the pot and you should be just fine. All you want is to moisten the media and keep it moist, but not actually to put water in the new growth that will start. Also, during the winter sea, you can actually spray a little bit the corm every once in a while just to keep it from desiccating. If it's very dry, it might desiccate. Although I didn't notice that last year, I did spray it every week or so, just a little bit, and that was pretty much enough. You don't want to keep it soggy because it's gonna rot, but you don't necessarily want to keep it the driest either. So yeah, this is pretty much how I'm gonna care for it. When the springtime comes, or later in spring it will start to grow, I will pot it up, and I did this last year as well, so I'm gonna show you some images right now on the screen. I kept watering it and keeping the media moist as it grew over the summer. Again, I always kept the media moist, didn't let it dry out in between waterings, and actually did quite well, and the plant actually grew quite well. The only bad thing is that it did not bloom. So pretty much this is how I will store my bulb for now until the plant actually dies off. This plant right now does not need light, so you can shove it under the desk. That's pretty okay. The corm does not need light. It just needs warm temperatures and a bit of spraying just from time to time just to keep it from going desiccated. If you don't see any sign of desiccation, yeah, you might not want to miss it, but I'm not sure how to see the signs of desiccation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray from time to time this corm just to make sure that it will not desiccate. I will not keep it soggy under any circumstance, but just a little bit of spraying, maybe a little bit in the pot. That's perfect. and it will only happen once a week or once every 2 weeks perhaps. I will see. But pretty much this is the gist with the Habenaria orchid. You can visit the description to see my updates through the summer, how this orchid looked, how it grew, and so on. And yeah, I really hope the non-blooming side of things is due to the fact that this orchid probably was not mature enough. I don't know. I'm really sad that it didn't bloom, but I'm really happy about this Corm. It is actually looking spectacular. If you don't mind the crooked shape, we're good. Alrighty guys, thank you for watching this video. Hope you found this useful. I really hope this orchid will do better next year and we can do a proper how to care for video for this one. Right now it's just some basics, just so you don't kill the orchid. If I missed anything, just leave me a comment down below and I'll discuss further. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos from me and stay up to date with my orchids, simply subscribe to my channel. I post on a regular basis. Also, feel free to leave me questions or suggestions for videos or whatever you like in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. If you click on the left side of your screen, you'll be directed to orchidnature.com, where you'll find care sheets, identification sheets, and also you can talk to us in the forum section. And on the right side of your screen, you can click to watch another orchid video. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye!